Welcome to the Heroes of Change interview series. And it's a great pleasure to have on the line here Mr. Steve Sammartino from Melbourne. Hey, Steve.
Hello, Chris. How you going, mate?
So, Steve, if I was to say to you, change your thinking and change your life.
Absolutely. All of the moments that I've had in my life that have actually led me to a fork in the road where I've got the courage to take, an alternative course, have always been thought is the first thing that happens. And I love the idea of thinking that thoughts are actually real physical things. People throw it away as if to say, oh, it's just a thought. No, it's actually a physical thing. There's chemicals that move in your brain. And if you start to read different things and think different things, they create new physical pathways. They're actually physical things. So they're the first physical moment that actually can lead to a change. So thoughts are far more important than anyone thinks. And that's the first thing that has to happen before you can actually move your body with your arms and legs to actually do anything different.
Can you give an example of maybe where you've had to change your thinking to get a different result?
For the longest time, I was too focused on the knowledge. I thought that knowledge is truth, right? But the thing that's true with the knowledge is emotion, because that happens first. And if you can't get through someone's emotional feeling of how they feel about change, it doesn't matter how right you are. It doesn't matter how true the technology. You can show someone plain in the face and say, look, here's the facts, here's the technology, here's where it's going. And over time, what I've found is that engaging with businesses and people, I had to not soften up the truth, but I had to package it better. And packaging it better means I have to be more human. And I moved more towards the anthropology of how humans behave and introduce that first to give people permission to open their mind before I put in some new knowledge. It's almost like I have to clean out the garage of old knowledge and tidy things up and be a human first and bring more humor into it. And then that in a way gives you more permission. So, I think the biggest shift I've had is to not just be a technocrat who thinks about the facts, but thinks about how humans behave and engage at that first before we start presenting some new ideas.
So what drives your emotional engine, Steve, for your purpose and motivation for doing what you're doing today? What drives that?
I just hated the formula of everyday living. I worked in corporate, I studied at university, went through I did all the classic, go to school, go to university, get a good job in a big company, earn your money, get a house in a nice suburb, buy a nice car, get a nice shirt, all of that. And the thing that I just hated the most? I just hated that I'm going to work 9 to 5, 5 days a week and get 4 weeks off a year. Like, I grew up for 18 years having, 10 weeks off a year with school holidays. Like, I reckon it's inhumane to work 5 days a week for 8 weeks. The one thing if you had have asked me 15 years ago, if you could have one thing, what would it be? It would have been earn the money I'm earning now with a bit more freedom. Mm-hmm. So the number one thing is I wanted to have a lifestyle that was a bit more fluid. And that freedom, this weird thing happens when you do it the way you really want to do it, then you actually earn more and you start, because all of a sudden you're where you're meant to be. And once you find and have the courage to go where you're meant to be, the other things just fall into place, because there's this friction when you're not doing what you want to do and you're trying to do your best and you're in the wrong environment. You've got to get yourself in the right environment that suits your personality or suits what you value.
What's the sort of shift in health, wealth, and in that barometer? Are you sort of a 2 to 8?
I'm like 10 kilos lighter than I was in corporate. I go surfing 3 days a week. Yeah. I go to the gym every day. I eat healthier because I'm at home. So I eat healthy food. Yeah. And I just think the mindset of not doing that corporate churn work, because a lot of the work that we do, I reckon, is what I just call officing. I don't even know what it is. You're just getting this document ready for that person who needs that document for this meeting, and a meeting about the meeting, about the meeting, about the meeting. Because everyone's got to be aligned. I mean, don't you dare come into this meeting if we need alignment before we go in, And so half of it's just bullshit that is designed because the company is so profitable and can afford to have people just moving deck chairs around in the office. And that is depressing. To work on stuff that actually doesn't hit the market, that doesn't impact anyone's life, is just doing it because you can, I reckon it grates at the soul. So what I find is that I get like a corporate week's worth of work done in 3 hours because I don't have to ask anyone's permission, meet anyone about it or have any of that stuff. And I'm an independent guy. I like working just for myself. I don't want to run a company or own a company because I trust the work that I do, get it done quick. And it's just so gratifying to go, here's the stuff I did. I set out to do it and I did it. I didn't have to ask it and it's finished and it's done. I didn't spend a whole week mucking around getting everyone online to do this. I just do what I think and that's it.
Yeah, in that change phase, who were you listening to? Who were you queuing into to think, well, now I'm out of corporate. I want to build my own business.
I won all these Bunnings vouchers in a raffle once, but I didn't want them. And so I put a sign up in the corporation I was working at, which was Kraft Foods, before I left, saying $300 worth of Bunning vouchers, make me an offer, because it was found money for me. And this guy, we had this little negotiation. He was in sales and I ended up selling them to him for 200. He was happy. He was renovating his house and he needed it. And then we just developed this friendship. And you know what this guy did? The day I left, he made me this CD of all this inspirational stuff and business ideas that Jim Rohn was on. And he gave it to me as a little gift. I'd only known him for 2 weeks. And he said, I really enjoyed the short time we had. It'd be great if we could have a cup of coffee every now and again. I reckon we've got some alignment on what we're thinking. And he got me on this different path. Like I knew I was leaving anyway, but he helped me. See, because here's the thing, right? Today, for the first time in history, anyone can say, I'm going to tap into the world's best thinkers on whatever topic I'm interested in right now. That's never happened. Right? And so all of a sudden, there's not like, oh, if you weren't born in the right place or didn't go to Harvard University or weren't in the Renaissance, you couldn't meet Michelangelo. Well, today, now, world's best thinker, tap into them because they're putting all their stuff up online. So you've got to have friends who help you and then friends who point you to cool stuff. So I had one mate really changed me and he put me onto the idea of digital mentors. So the Jim Rohn, Seth Godin has always been someone who I just love his approach as well.
Yep.
He blogs every day. It's just a gift.
Yep.
And he just helps you be the artist inside you. Because we've all got something that I reckon is bursting to get out, like our natural predilection of what we're good at. We've just got to have the courage to chase it. But the most important thing in life is happiness. That's where true wealth is. And for a period of time in corporate, I got into this race of trying to get pay rises. And, it's almost like a wages tennis tournament where you're all competing for this, pyramid of wages. And I found that once you get over a certain amount, and this is something you can only know once you're, I think maybe above the age of 30 or something, that you don't get any happier when you've got any more money. I mean, we've all seen the studies, but I don't think you can truly believe it until you've got more money than you thought you would ever have, whatever that number is. I mean, of course, you start on small wages and you're like, wow. When you're at uni, you think, if I could just have a wage, that'd be amazing. And then when you get that wage, you say, if it could just be this amount. And then after a few years, you get from here to there and you look back and you go, just pretty happy when I was at uni and I had nobody and we're catching up with our friends. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm happiest now. I always think when I go surfing, I think, you know what? The billionaire doesn't get a better waves or a better sunset. Or I used to sometimes try and challenge myself and say, if money didn't exist, if there's no such thing as money, what would I do? That's a really powerful question to ask because we're so driven by that. And so with a company, would you be doing the work if you didn't get paid? Like if you could work anywhere on any project or any company? I mean, that's a really interesting question. How many of your staff do you think would stay if everyone was on the same wage? Would they do the job that they're doing now? I mean, that's an interesting question, right? I don't think many companies that I know of would like the answer.
What's your lifestyle approach when you're looking at growth, transition, movement?
You know what I always do? I always look at the past to give me permission to believe that I can take that next step on the run, whatever that is. It's like in grade 5, you say, well, I can get to grade 6, because I did the grade 5 work. So surely, I can do it. The people before me have done it. And then you put yourself in the shoes of the person who's already done it. And so I always just look at something that I've achieved in the past that's similar. And I call it Venn diagram living. You always got to get the overlap. If you find that little Venn diagram overlap, little bit of grade 8 nerd maths here, the overlap of where things overlap with each other, then you can go from one circle to the next circle to the next. So I'm always looking for where is there an overlap of what I've already done and how can I take that small 20% of something that I nail in the thing that I've already become an expert in and bring it into the next one. And here's how I tell people this. I say, look, a lot of people think tech, it's just above my head. I'm not a sciencey, techie kind of guy. I'm more into this and AI and how can I survive? I tell them one thing. The most complex thing that computers have ever been able to do, and we're still not there yet, is natural language processing. This is the number one complex thing that we've done in any form of artificial intelligence yet. Everyone in that room can read. Everyone in that room can speak, which is more complex than what a computer can do. If you can read, if you can speak, then you've got all of the intellectual capability to survive the tech revolution and learn anything, right? And I just tell them, look, I can't do your push-ups for you, but I promise you one thing I can. I promise you, you have the intellectual capability to learn whatever you want to learn if you'll put in the effort.
I saw your blog post yesterday about reading a book. You're challenging yourself for a book a week. Oh,
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah, 10 pages a day is 12 books a year. 10 pages takes 10 minutes. That's 12 books a year. No one in society reads 12 books a year.
Yeah. Well, actually, I started coaching 7 or 8 years ago. I met some 1,000 bookers. They'd read 1,000 books, and I felt...
I don't know how many books I've read. I should do a count. I don't know.
If someone's watching this and they're procrastinating about getting on the tech bus, or they're procrastinating about their next project, what would be your sage piece of advice as, you know, as a figurehead and as a leader?
Make it part of your day. Now, it can't be in spare time. It's got to be in allocated time, because there's no such thing as spare time. There's only allocated and wasted. Right. And well, allocated time could be, I am allocating an hour to a nap on the couch. That's fine. I would say, get your coffee and watch a 10-minute YouTube video on whatever topic you're interested in that might affect your career or your industry you're working. 10-minute YouTube video. You don't even have to do anything. All you have to do is sip coffee, which you're doing anyway. Instead of wasting time on Facebook or whatever, watch a YouTube video on blockchain or artificial intelligence. Just the basic YouTube video on that. And then you might go, wow, that was interesting. And then the next day you watch another one. At the end of the week, you know more than 90% of the people in your industry on that particular topic. And then all of a sudden you're moving up the knowledge curve, and you might just find a little bit of inspiration to pick some tools up and start doing some stuff.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thanks so much for your time today, Steve.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
No, you're welcome, you're welcome. And I might catch you this weekend while I'm over there in Melbourne, possibly.
Hit me. If I'm around, we'll have a quick cup of coffee or a glass of red wine if it's nighttime hours.
Let's do it. Really appreciate it, Steve. Okay.
Pleasure. All right.
Take care of yourself.
Bye.
Bye for now.